join Skype and actually do it properly. But like for now, it's just like, I don't know. I just I'll join eventually. I'll do everything else eventually. It's just I don't feel like it. And my Wi-Fi's been terrible. It's also because I've got lots of I've got family over, so it's like, you know, a lot of people are sharing the Wi-Fi.
So I think sharing times.
So I think it's best if I just turn off the video and just hide in the corner like Emmanuel does.
You weren't too laggy then, man. You was coming through all right.
So far so good.
I mean, for now, I guess, but it's like, I don't know. Maybe it should be okay for now, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Are you still feeling shit, then?
Oh yeah, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm still feeling rubbish, but I'm much better than I was yesterday.
Yes, that's good.
I think we've come down with something at the same time, man, because yesterday I had like this awful sore throat and I had to buy like lozenges, which is something that I don't like doing. but today I woke up and it's just turned into like an annoying cough.
Oh, that's something. That's progression.
Yeah. I got a bit of a runny nose as well, but like it's not awful. But yesterday I was like, this is terrible.
Yeah, I don't really have much energy to do anything at all, but I know what you mean. It's like when you feel like that, you're just like, oh, I just don't want to do fuck all.
Yeah.
It just drains you.
My mum came round today, and so like we were tidying this morning, and I was just like I woke up with this like really awful headache, and just like I was tidying in my dressing gown, and like considering it's quite cold all of a sudden, like I was sweating, and I felt like shit, man. But now it's like, I don't know, it already feels like it's on its way out. I don't know why it's gone so quickly.
That's good. I'll never complain about that, that's for sure.
Yeah. It's weird, man. It's really weird.
Yeah, I wonder if it is a new variant of COVID that's just not as strong as it was. It just affects people really quickly, suddenly, and then it just goes away.
I don't know, man. Like, I did a couple of tests and like they came back negative, but
Isn't that just a cold? If it's just like,
yeah, it's probably just a cold like I've got.
Usually though, when I have a cold, it lasts like 2 weeks sometimes. Because I don't get them very often. I get like one maybe like every 2-3 years. But
I was gonna say, is it because you've been eating less dairy? But I don't think that counts.
the lack of milk in my body for the last year has made my immune system go, do you know what? Let's do him a solid. Let's get rid of this.
All right, maybe.
It might be.
Yeah. I mean, it's either that or, you know, you've been replacing everything else with like oats and like soy, and you're like, that's helped your immune system. You're like, just eat some more spinach and be like, yes, fucking Popeye powers. Yeah.
I haven't replaced milk with oat milk. I've just replaced it with antibiotics.
You know what I found was my favourite like medicine? Well, if you can call it that. Yeah, effervescence tablets. The little tablets that dissolve in the water. In the water.
It's weird you say that, man, because Rachel said to get some yesterday, but I was like, I can't imagine that being good.
it's just some. I mean, to be fair, I know what you mean. Like the taste of paracetamol or ibuprofen or whatever it is isn't great. I like Night Nurse. I'm okay with, but not a fan of. And like Beecham's powder, it doesn't taste good. But those effervescent tablets do taste actually all right. And
Really?
I think they're just kind of fun. You see them dissolve and they fizz up, and it's kind of like satisfying to watch and satisfying to drink. They just work, and they just. Yeah.
I suppose I get what you mean in a way, because like even if it's not actually doing anything medicinal, like seeing something fizz probably does like create quite a strong placebo effect.
Yeah, it probably is that in there too.
Well, just, I mean, like in that case, then you might as well just buy like a 7-Up and like some.
Just like
yes, helped.
Yeah, 7-Up, some Pez. These Pez's will just fizz up just right. And Mentos,
yes,
perfect.
It is bad though, man, because like when we were in Tesco's yesterday, I was looking at those Strepsils tablets, and like the lozenges I got were just like standard halls, right? So they were like 85p, but the Strepsils were like nearly £6. And I said to Rachel, like, do I need to get Strepsils? And she was like, no, I don't think you need to spend £6. But in the back of my mind, I was going, but if I do spend £6, then something in me is going to be convinced that this is going to work, and that might be enough to get rid of it.
Yeah, there is something about that because I think a doctor ages ago flogged me some special over-the-counter lozenges. They were just like bog standard ones, but they were like £6 as well or something around that money. And it's just like they just taste like normal Strepsils. What's so special about them? It's like, they worked, but it's just like why should they be that expensive? They're just boiled sweets.
It is bad, man. Like, I didn't realize that lozenges were just like sweets, basically.
Yeah.
Because I don't usually get them because I think they taste like shit, to be honest. And I was sucking on one yesterday, and I was going, oh man, this is really working. And Rachel was like, it's literally just a sweet to keep your mouth moist.
Yeah, it's just a menthol sweet. That's all they are. Why the hell do they have to be so expensive?
Wait, what sweets suck?
Menthol,
just lozenges in general.
like holes. I used to call them
Oh.
house when I was a kid.
In the days of Umbrum.
Yeah.
Which ones did you say suck, Rob, specifically?
Just lozenges in general, man. I was saying because
cough
I've got some kind of cold at the minute, and I usually try to avoid getting lozenges because, like, to me, they just all taste awful. And I got some yesterday, and I was walking down the road, like, sucking on one, and I was like, man, this is really working. Like, my throat feels better already. And Rachel was like, it's literally just a sweet.
Oh, it depends which one you had. Which one did you have specifically? Because they're
just
not
like
all
the
sweets.
just like the black currant halls.
Okay, so
Yeah, the square ones.
to break it down, the ones that do the most are the extra strong ones. You have that in like many brands, whether that be Halls or Lockets. They usually don't taste good, but they aren't for obviously tasting good to help your throat. And then you have the actual medicated ones, which something in my body doesn't actually agree with Strepsils. The Strepsils are medicated lozenges.
But they have like a type of alcohol in, right?
I don't know, but my body doesn't like them, so I just left it at that. They actually cause me pain.
Yeah, that's the thing, because I think there's like some kind of alcohol in them, and I think the idea is to like kill the bacteria in your throat. So I imagine that would be like pretty like hardcore.
Yeah, there you go. But they're very popular and they work for a lot of people. The ones that aren't extra strong lozenges, though. Now, the ones that are basically sweets that you should never really have unless you just want something it's got a slight kick to it is the soothers. They are just candy. Now, Halls, it's like halfway between candy and lozenges.
Yeah.
So the black currant ones, they're meant to be not as strong, but so that it still helps a bit, and it does help. It's meant to soothe your throat. So when you say it feels like it's working, yeah, and it still has, I think, a little bit of menthol in there, or
Yeah, I think
something
there's
to
like a
help
very
clear.
like small amount.
Yeah, so it still is to help, and I mean, I feel like the only people who have lozenges as candy, they're not buying the ones you bought. They're buying like one of the fisherman's ones, like some, or ones that had more, like had a bit of licorice in it, or that's like a herbal sweet kind.
Yeah.
That you can get, but yeah, not all lozenges are like that. So
You have just unlocked memories, man, by saying fisherman's friend. I haven't thought about those for ages. I completely forgot they existed, and now I've got to Google them to see the packaging, because that's like
they look the same as they did 20 years ago.
Yep, they still do. You can
And they
get them
taste
in
the same.
Boots.
oh wow, I haven't seen these for years. Why did they all disappear all of a sudden?
I think they
haven't.
didn't disappear. I just think you just don't notice them. And it's like, all right, yeah, it's one of those. It's like one of those like older people candies or like medicine.
It's like
just like
Werther's original.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
To,
It's always there.
I'm gonna go to Tesco's tomorrow. I'm gonna ask for Fisherman's Friends just to see if there's still stuff.
Well, you make it
You-
sound like you go there after to go look at you and go, "Do you have some ID? How old are you?"
You have to
Yeah,
be
you
over
should.
80 to buy these.
Oh man, you should find them
Challenge 65.
next to. Oh man, you should find them right near the lockets in the halls. I will warn you, as you probably remember, they very much aren't candy. You have very mild fisherman friend type things, but fisherman friend, it has a kick. It will definitely clear your sinuses, but in your airways, I will say that.
I remember the first time I tried one is when I was a kid because my dad used to get them, and I think he gave me one day, and it was like the first time that I tried a proper mustard, and I was just like, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah.
Just like, I don't know.
Sounds fishy.
It's something in your mind going like, food shouldn't taste like this. Like you're ingesting poison. Get rid of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's very much. It does not taste nice. It is very much. Well, I don't think it does. It is very much. If you feel like crap, have some Fisherman's Friend. It will definitely give you the kick. It's kind of like eating like really spicy food or something that's really spicy for you when you have some kind of like really bunged up cold and stuff. And then just everything starts to run and you're like, oh, I can breathe. Or you have a
Yeah.
whole thing of fake wasabi, a whole bunch of fake wasabi, spicy horseradish. And it's just like, that's helped me breathe a lot. It's kind of like that. I mean, not as extreme as ingesting a lot of spicy horseradish. That can be kind of dangerous if you're not careful. But I accidentally did that. Not accidentally. I foolishly did that one time before jogging.
Before jogging, how does that happen?
Well,
I was. Huh?
no, I got confused. How does spicy food affect your jogging?
Oh no! So if you ingest a bunch of like spicy horseradish, fake wasabi, to clear all your sinuses and stuff, you're like, oh, I can breathe. But then if you start jogging, I used to jog a lot of places in the past, just like going home, going here, going there, and well, your respiratory system doesn't like that. So then your lungs
Oh,
start burning, and they
ugh.
actually really hurt. So
Yeah,
it's
I can
kind of
imagine
like,
that's not nice actually.
yeah, it's kind of like that feeling when you've been running alone, running really hard, and your chest is burning. It's like it's on fire. It's like that, but for like half
Oh,
an hour.
I hate that feeling. That's like the worst feeling, being like out of breath, but like searing pain in your chest. Being
Oh, right.
That's
Okay.
yeah. That's yeah. Don't eat like yeah, like fake wasabi and go for a jog. It's not a good idea.
Yeah,
Well,
that sounds awful.
all that made me think was just like you went for a run after having some spicy food. After you're like, oh, I can taste blood in my mouth. It's got a tangy taste. It's just like, I'm just like, oh, that's all right. All right.
Yeah, just
Hey,
talking
Pat.
about lessons, Pat, in life.
Lessons in life through wasabi and
Right.
moderate
Wasabi.
exercise.
I want to have like real wasabi
And-
one day.
There's places I should take you then in London.
I have no
There are
interest in
places
it.
that he's got real what's the
Do we not
I
like
know, that's
harvest
fair.
wasabi
But
over
like,
here?
no way. It's like impossible. I mean, no, it's not impossible, but it's very impractical because wasabi is like one of those like super hard to like grow root vegetables that live near like in the like streams. So it's like, oh yeah, you can remove it. And after this, when you take it over, it loses its taste unless you like super freeze it and like deliver it that way.
That's the thing that I find weird about it.
The only reason I know that is real wasabi because the guy. Because the only reason I know it's real wasabi because the guy took out the root and showed me. I was like, oh yeah, cool.
Oh,
so
wow,
I know
that's
for
good.
sure that this place uses real wasabi.
That's really cool.
So,
yeah, I don't know. I find it so strange, man, because like where it's a root vegetable, you'd think you'd be able to grow it like mostly anywhere.
no, it's not like even. It's not even like a root vegetable. It's like a horseradish is kind of like. I don't want to say it's not a vegetable because it's like literally roots, but it's kind of like one of those swamp vegetables, like how rice used. No, it's kind of like how rice is like. You can't just grow rice. You have to grow rice in like sort of like swampy
Paddies.
like fields in paddies. Yeah. So you can't.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the thing for like wasabi because it is running water. That's why it's like in rivers and shit. That's why it's okay. You can't just make a paddy, go throw some wasabi seeds and be done with it. That doesn't work that way. So I was like, oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it now, man. Like it's a pretty like impressive looking vegetable, I suppose you'd call it.
Yeah, and like Simon said, it loses its potency like very quickly, so it's very expensive and hard to even export anywhere. In the few places that might have real ones here, they will grate it over your food like pretty much then and there when it needs to be served. Otherwise, they're just wasting a whole bunch of.
It's the like super frozen, or it's like the super like vacuum packed frozen type that the guy has. So it's real, but it's like frozen wasabi. So it's like, but it still tastes better than like your fake wasabi that you get here sometimes.
Yeah, I heard it has like a quicker punch compared to like horseradish.
Yes.
Like white horseradish, yeah, it just like it's hotter, but it's over quicker.
But
it's interesting, man.
But talking about Chinese foods and Asian foods, let's go back to this movie where they had Asian foods about 1 billion people who eat rice, right? So, Rob, why did you
people
pick...
who eat rice can't be wrong, man.
Wrong, yeah. So, Rob, why did you pick this film?
I've been like threatening to pick it since we started Film Club, man. It's always been like, I suppose, yeah. Like, in one way, it's always been a favourite of mine. I think I first watched it when we was about 16 or something like that, and that probably was like the right time to watch it because where it's got that whole kind of like 80s aesthetic and the whole thing is like this is what it means to be cool in the 80s. I think that came along at the right time because that was when I started going to like music festivals and a lot of the bigger bands at the festivals I was going to would have been 80s bands. So you kind of like live in the past a little bit with going to those kind of festivals. And yeah, I think watching The Lost Boys, because it's like so hard on that, I think part of it is like an experiential thing because you're kind of going, oh, it's really cool that this is the subculture that I'm kind of like trying to live in reflection now, if that makes sense. But yeah, I love that whole vibe, man. Like I said last week, I think when Joel Schumacher does like 80s kind of like cheesy camp stuff, I think that's when he's at his best because it's like, it's not. I mean, there is kind of like deeper meanings and like all of that kind of stuff, and I think it's a really well crafted story because of that. But you can also just like enjoy it on a sort of, but I don't know, just like an emotional level, I suppose, because it's just transporting you to a different world, and I think it does such a good job of like representing that sort of that weird thing that you only kind of have as a teenager, where you've got like a certain adult freedom, but you're not an adult yet, so you don't have that full adult freedom, but you've also got like a load of peer pressure that you lose later on in life. Yeah, I think it does such a good job of like contextualizing that into vampires. And even though it's doing all of that, I love that it doesn't take itself at all seriously. And that last scene with the granddad, where he's like, the thing I always hated about living in Santa Clara is all the damn vampires. I'm like, yeah, that's the perfect way to sign off on this, because you've got like the subject matter could have been horrific. Like they could have gone all in and made a super scary film that would have just like they could have like really like they could have made something all like really rough with this, but they just made something that was kind of like pop culture-y. And yeah, I don't know, I think that kind of makes it a perfect Halloween film, because it's just like, yeah, like it's not trying to be too scary. It's not like over the top silly. It's just, it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's there for you to have a good time with it, and I really appreciate it on that level.
Speaking of Halloween, I think you might have put Ben's pick a week early, too early.
No, because next week will be the nearest call to Halloween.
Yeah, but it won't be Halloween yet.
Yeah, but if we do it afterwards, then it'll be November the 5th.
Oh, fair enough. I thought you wanted to do it, have his film like on Halloween week.
Oh, we always do it, so it's like the nearest, like either before or after, isn't it? I think this is
Oh,
probably the
fair
first time we've done it before, to be fair. But oh no, actually, this is exactly the same as 2 years ago, because when Ben picked V for Vendetta, that was on November the 5th. Yeah, this was kind of the thing I was thinking, because when I had the Halloween pick a couple of years ago and I did Train to Busan, it was like part of it didn't sit right with me being a Halloween pick, because I love the film and I'm really glad I picked it and whatever, but I think there's something about Halloween where you should be a little bit sillier than Train to Busan is, and that's why I like picks like An American Werewolf in London, The Lost Boys, and like I don't know. I think when you're making a sort of like classic monster film about sort of like anything really, like whether that's like vampires, werewolves, or whatever else, when you take it out of that context of being something that was frightening in the 30s and 40s, I don't think you can. Well, there's kind of two ways to do it. You either go like super dark and super realistic and sort of like depressing to a point, like films like Let the Right One In, or you go the other way and you go, this is really silly, so let's just go with it. And like, I like the approach, man.
Okay.
It all makes sense.
Yeah, it all makes sense. And like you could just do whatever you want and go, actually, I don't want to choose a scary film. I would rather just choose something that's completely not scary, just to like break the mold. And I guess because you said you used to watch this when you were like 16, right, Rob?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think we studied it in sixth form, actually.
You did? Oh,
I think so, yeah.
cool.
If you did, I didn't. I don't know if we was in the same class, but
No, it would have been on the media diploma. I remember Mr. Hancock talking about it, and that could have only been in sixth form because I didn't have him in year 11.
I see. I was in Mrs. Prince's class.
Yeah.
So we did. The closest to that we did was Hitchcock.
Yeah, we did lots of Hitchcock.
Which is great. But yeah, I didn't have Mr. Hancock. So.
Yeah.
Sorry, Simon, were you saying your introductory? Because I was interrupting.
Oh no, I was gonna ask because like I think Pat said it in the chat as well. It's like I was a bit cold to the film or the way I scored it. I guess it's kind of like I get what it was going for, and I kind of understood like the general ideas, and like especially with when Rob says it's not actually about vampires, it's about drugs, and I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, I kind of get it, right? Yeah, because the way that they act, you don't really think is about vampires. It could just be kids who are like pulling an all-nighter doing like weed or something.
That's another one of my
Or
favourite lines,
cocaine.
actually. That just reminded me.
He was like, "Are you freebasing?" And I just like I looked at oh, there's another way to say is he taking cocaine.
I that whole thing of like making vampires like drug addicts. That's one of my favourite lines in like any silly film. And it's when I forget his name. Is it Michael? When he's like, my own brother, a goddamn shit sucking vampire. You wait till mum finds out. Like, it's just like, I just love that, man.
But as I was saying, I actually have watched this film before, like on when it was on like Sky or TV or something. I watched it again in parts because as when you have TV films, they're always like so many ad breaks, you miss quite a bit of it. And I guess I don't have like the same sort of like rose tinted nostalgia goggles for it, I guess is the right way to say it. I feel like I saw it first time, I was like, oh, interesting. So when I first watched it, like way back, I was like, oh, so the guy was the head vampire. Weird. Okay, so that's odd. But watching it again, very, very objectively, like the rules of the vampires are very arbitrary, and it becomes like, wait. So he's obviously, if you get stabbed in the heart with a wooden sharp stick, right? It's like obviously you're gonna die. But it's like, so the garlic doesn't work, but the holy water does work. But he needed to be invited in, but he didn't get. Wait. So which rules apply? Which rules don't apply?
Oh,
Then
they do clear that up at the end, to be fair, because he says that once he's invited in, the other rules don't really count.
Yeah, so but it's like, well, it's also the thing about him following the rules from comic books. Yeah, the magical world of reading. And I'm like, oh right, yeah, I see where this is. I saw what what they were going for. Okay. Yeah, but it's just like watching it again. I'm like, I think it's quite well made still. And like I see like the story about like I saw like this. I dropped I think a couple of points for the story because I feel like him maybe not, but like everything else was like generally well made. I didn't feel like I had enjoyed it as much as you did because you watched it quite a few times when you were younger, and I've watched it like maybe once or twice on TV, and I'm like, oh, yeah, it's nice. It's just not my sort of film, or it's like I didn't go, yeah, it's part of my like nostalgia, like horror movie, like nostalgia stuff. So it's like, I was like, it's good. It's just like not a me film, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Like I think, yeah, a lot of why I love it is just like personal, subjective stuff. Like I was saying earlier in the week, like it's a similar thing to Howard the Duck for me, because it's that kind of like cheesy 80s camp, and when I'm watching it, I'm just sitting there thinking, I'm having such a great time.
Fair enough.
I was going to say it does remind me of films like Howard the Duck, and obviously I know you don't like the Goonies as much as you used to, but it reminds me of that as well. And Gremlins.
It's produced by Richard Donner, to be fair.
Yeah, it's got all that DNA in it. Even though I don't think it's my personal favorite like yours, I still think, I totally get why Rob loves this, because it has all this about it, this vibe and this aesthetic, this like feel about this film, where it's just kind of like, it's so 80s, it's so of its era, but it has this unique originality, and it has this kind of like innocent charm to it, despite being kind of dark and ragged around the edges, but it has this charm. And oh yeah, okay, it's good. I love it for that reason.
That's a really good way to describe it, actually, as like innocent charm, because where you've got like, where it's the same setup as Stand By Me, in it, like where you've got like Kiefer Sutherland's lot, who are like, they're the older kids, and it's not that they've got more experience in life as such, but they're older, so they've got different pressures, and they're treating each other in a completely different way as the younger kids are. And yeah, I don't know. There's something about that kind of like dynamic that I always think is really interesting. But when you put it in as in, no way, even the brothers are called Edgar and Allan, like it's so silly. But yeah, when you put it in the context, when you put that dynamic in the context of a bunch of vampires versus a bunch of kids who are sick of their town being overrun by vampires, it's just like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, there's something about it that just gets me as a good time. I suppose. like even you know, like the opening shots where the credits are rolling and you've got like I think at the time it would have been a helicopter shot of like the Bay Area, and you've got like the fun fair going on and all of that kind of stuff. Like I think that it just really reminds me of being at music festivals, and it just I don't know, like it does a weird thing where it just makes me feel like I'm 16 again watching it. And like when I watched it this time as well, I was glued to it for the whole time, man. And I got to the end, and the grandpa delivered that line, which I think is probably my favourite scene, to be fair. Um, yeah, the grandpa delivered that line, and I just sat there watching the credits afterwards, like, oh, I've had a really good night. I've literally just sat on my sofa watching this, but I've had the best time.
So, what did you say about the grandpa again? Actually, no. I should be able to read it if I can get these captions to work.
Oh, can you go back with the captions?
They're meant to be able to, but
Oh, I had no idea. I think
actually,
what if I
I
turn them
might
on?
be
Does that
wrong.
help you?
Oh, I have them turned on my ends.
Oh right.
Is wait, is this? I don't
Oh,
think
the
I can really
captions
go
don't let
back
me
on the
go
phone.
back.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
They don't let us let you go back. I could just
Mm.
see more when I turn it sideways. But anyway, sorry, what were you saying about the granddad?
Yeah, just that line at the end where he's like, the one thing I always hated about Santa Clara is all the damn vampires. It's just like it's a bit like I can't remember what the writer's name is. You might know, Ben, but you know the guy who was on the Simpsons staff for like the first 10 years, and he was really into like old like 90s 1920s radio plays and all of that kind of stuff. I can't remember what his name is.
James L. Brooks.
No, it's a different one. Yeah, I can't remember his name, but you know like the scenes where like you know where like Mole Man has like you know that the Crocodile Dundee joke where Mole Man's like, you call that a knife, this is a knife, and he pulls out this huge sword,
Yeah.
and then he like towers over because it's so big, and then he says, oh, down I go. Like it's all of that stuff was written by this guy because he loved like radio comedy so much.
Great.
But I can't remember what his name is. But no, it
Oh,
really
we
reminds
can
me of
check
that
it
kind of thing
IMDb,
where
right?
it's like
Yeah,
it's such like an outdated style of humor, but I just think it's so great.
Yeah. Also, another film that The Simpsons wonderfully took homage to, like Interview with a Vampire and Bram Stoker's Dracula. It was probably the same episode, the same Treehouse of Horror, and it's like
Yeah.
Bart discovers that Mr. Burns wasn't the head vampire after all. It happened to be his mum, Marge, and Marge is like, no, but I'm the head vampire, and they're just like floating around like in the Lost Boys style.
Oh my goodness.
It's just so good, so good.
Was it either there's three writers on this one. Jen Fisher, James Jeremias, and Jeffrey Bone.
Sure, let me have a look.
While you're doing that, the very reason well past Ethan. I'm just kidding. The very reason like you said you like it, Rob, is the same reason I don't. But it's also mainly it's not my type of film. Similar to what I think Simon said at one point. I don't think it was poorly made. I think it was pretty decently made. It was very of the time. But I think I would have preferred a more serious film. Not I think I would have. That's something that would have like been more my kind of my cup of tea.
Mm.
And there are too many things that, while probably quite actually realistic, and again, very other times, it would have annoyed me. It annoyed me now, and would have annoyed me when I was younger either. A lot of this stuff I didn't like when I was younger either, and I was even more brutal with it. Now I'm a bit more open-minded, but when I was younger, I would be like, "What the? This makes no sense."
Mhm.
I just would have cut it off. Just carried on my day. I mean, I probably would have actually watched it through if it was like something like this, but not just off my own back. I think that's why I did go more for serious horrors or psychological horrors growing up
I think to be
because
fair, like when you look at the vampire films that each of us has picked, you've basically got like both extremes of the genre.
yeah, it's like when you said let the right one in, I was like, yeah, I did pick that. But yeah, we've got Twilight vampires, the origin of those.
Mhm.
I did like that. But anyway, yeah, it's one of those things. I think the line at the end actually annoyed me. I was just like, you know what?
Wait, what? Why?
I'm glad it's over. I'm done. No, it's just a lot of kind of, again, it isn't a film to take itself too seriously. So I'm not necessarily cussing it, but it's one of those things. It's like, okay, the granddad knew this whole time, but he didn't say anything. Okay, he's off the wall. The mom, okay, she's a hippie mom, and maybe there's some stuff that would go past or whatever. You got some tropes that at the time weren't that often done. So I'm not saying they were overplayed at the time. It was the 80s. It was very much again of the times and of the kind of pop culture and main culture. You got some kids doing some nonsensical stuff. I mean, the younger kid was the one who had the most sense, to be honest. Yeah, it would have been nice if he went to the police, but he was a kid and he tried going to his mom, but of course she didn't listen. The older kid is just like first harassing a lady with his eyes. I mean, at the time it wouldn't have been seen that kind of way, but it was still a dick move, even back then. To just be staring at someone like you want to actually hurt them because you're crushing on this lady you just met. It's like, man, at least just kind of make it like not as obvious. Like, why are you looking like this? I'm just like, man, dude, can you please stop?
That sold it to me, man. As soon as you did that, I was like, fair enough.
But it's like I had no problem when he was first doing it, and then he actually looked like he wanted to hurt her. I know he didn't want to hurt her. I'm just like, this is kind of creepy, man. I don't know if this is just it's meant to be funny or over the top, or this bad direction or bad acting. I don't know, but it ain't comfortable, man. Just stop it. Is then yeah, just the kind of classic. He's trying to fit in. He does lots of bad decisions. Very classic stuff that happens the world over. And yeah, in the end, the kid who has the most sense ends up basically saving the day, but almost dies himself. But yeah, anyway, and almost dies for his dog too. I mean, I know we've seen that many times, but every time I'm just like, I know you love your dog, man. Please value your life. To be honest, they probably weren't going to even touch the dog. Like the dog did nothing to them. I mean, like the kid doesn't know that as a kid. So again, I can't blame the kid. Anyway, that's my 2 cents to start off with.
Do you want to say a little bit, Pat?
Yeah.
You just
So-
waiting to be asked.
Been invited in.
You can't get in with garlic, boys.
So way back in the day when I used to write reviews for Flickster, I got into a bit of a discussion with someone online about like films that I really liked, and they brought up The Lost Boys, and I'd never even heard of it at that point. And I had explained to me, and I was like, "Oh, I'll add that to my list." And it was something that was constantly like, you see it on Sky or you see it on Netflix, and I'm like, I'll watch it at some point, and I never did. It's like so many people said like how great of a film it was, and like it being in the 80s, which is an era that I love a lot for music and movies. So I'm surprised it took me so long to watch it. Even watching it this week, it took me like 3 days to watch it. But no, it was a really good film. Like I was actually surprised how much I liked it, because I don't know what sort of expectation I had for it, but I thought it'd be like one I'd be like, oh, it's good, but obviously like not a favorite or anything like that. But I kind of want to watch it again. But obviously I'm not like you or Alec, where I watch the film twice in a week, begin to end. Like don't have the time, and my brain doesn't want me to watch anything in evenings. It seems like as soon as I sit down to watch something, I fall asleep. So but no, like I liked the mash of like comedy horror with it, and obviously like you've said, it's sort of plays off drug addiction more than the vampires itself until the last little bit. I thought the sort of soundtrack for it was really cool. I thought Kiefer Sutherland was made to be a vampire. Like he just fitted so well. But yeah, like I had a great time watching it. And funny thing is, Michael was played by Jason Patrick, who was the villain in Terminator 2. Or am I thinking of the wrong Patrick? Hold on,
Wait,
let me.
Robert Patrick. Robert
Yeah,
Patrick
I'm getting
was
mixed
in
up
there.
then. Yeah,
So he's like
I'm getting mixed up.
like Robert Jones and Patrick Kenny combined. That's Robert Patrick.
Gee, funnily
Oh,
enough,
you've given away both our names.
Oh, shit.
To be fair, I mean,
don't do it.
Oh
I've
no.
got the standard Welsh name and you've got the standard Irish name.
Oh.
Yeah, funnily enough, like you mentioned in Terminator 2. So one of the films that I said was quite similar to this, Near Dark, that was directed by James Cameron's wife.
Oh, Catherine Bigelow,
Yeah.
ex-wife.
Well, she was his wife at the time. Or at least I think she
Yeah.
was. Because she was only his wife for like 2 years or something, right?
The thing is, I only realised that they were married when they were going head to head at the Oscars one year with Avatar and The Hurt Locker.
Yeah. She's had a weird career, man. The Hurt Locker, Near Dark, and Point Break.
And Zero Dark 30 as well,
Oh yeah, Zero Dark 30. Yeah.
which was probably the better war film that she did.
Yeah, that's mad, really.
But yeah, like I think it was a great pick. Like it's technically a horror, but I wouldn't exactly say it had any of the usual horror tropes to it. I just think it was just a good time using vampires, which is obviously incredibly popular at the time.
I think that's one of the things that I really like about horror as a genre, to be honest, because it's a bit like we were saying before about how like a comedy shouldn't only be a good film if it's making you laugh. Like it's a similar thing with horror, because I think a lot of the time they get judged on how scared you were watching them. I think that sort of it disregards a lot. I think.
I mean, if I was judging horrors on how much I was scared, then they'd all be given like low scores.
Yeah.
Oh, there was actually something that I saw in it. Sorry to cut across you again. There was one bit like when the sun come up, and I can't remember if it was one of the vampires that was cut or something, or I think the stake had gone into his chest, and I saw the blood, and it was all glittery. I was like, oh no. But actually, I don't mind it being the blood as long as it's not the actual whole vampire that's just fucking glittery.
Well, I don't want to like. I don't want to cause an interview with the vampire moment, but Joel Schumacher did actually cover the vampires in glitter.
What the hell was going on?
It was more subtle though. Like they didn't sparkle. Like he just did it so that they stood out a little bit more, which I think was quite effective.
Yeah.
I mean, the way they done it in this was fine. I think it's the way that it was done in Twilight was just unneeded. I mean, they didn't make the vampires look menacing at all. Like Kiefer Sutherland would have had Robert Pattinson for breakfast.
Yeah. I do really like the practical effects on the vampires actually.
Yeah.
Like it's similar in a way to an American Werewolf in London, because like the way that their faces change, it's not as extreme as it is in an American Werewolf in London, but just like the way that their faces change, like I get the feeling that I'm just sitting there like, man, that must really fucking hurt. Like and I think that's another thing that's like quite effective about it, because if you're looking at it sort of like for the drug allegory, you've got this kind of like this lifestyle that's on one hand is like gaining them freedom, and they're able to do all these things that they wouldn't otherwise do, and they're basically like living the life that you want to live as a teenager. Like you're staying up all night and you're having fun with your friends and all that kind of stuff. But the trade-off of it is that there's these like really painful transformations happening to their bodies. I think that's really cool. I think like there's some really nice scenes as well, like the one when they're on the bridge and they're all like hanging underneath it, because that's another thing where it's like it's a whole peer pressure thing, but it's also like how far can we go before we put ourselves in danger? And because they know they've got a safety net, it's like whatever, we can do what we want. But where like it's not something that they've shared with the new guy yet. He's like, I really like that setup of like, we're in control of this because we're experienced with it. You're not yet, so we're gonna like scare the shit out of you because you don't know yourself.
Yeah, that whole sort of setup sort of reminded me of Interview with the Vampire.
Mm.
Where it's sort of like Tom Cruise's vampire was peer pressuring Brad Pitt into sort of feeding and living the normal vampire sort of life. And you saw kind of the same way with this, with the group versus Michael.
Mm. Yeah, there's something that's really interesting about vampire stuff, because like there's always kind of like, well, not always, but like when it's just sort of like a regular vampire rather than Dracula, there's always like that kind of almost like an apprentice dynamic going on. And it's kind of like what I was saying earlier, like if you go for like the more sort of like serious style of vampire film, like Interview with the Vampire, that's used to go, this is a really awful thing that can happen to you. And it's like, when you consider it in terms of like what it would actually mean, that you never get to grow up past a certain point, and like your life just goes on and on and on and nothing changes. Like that's a really rough thing.
Yeah.
But I think when you look at it from this point of view, where it's just sort of, it's almost like it's going back to the drug thing again, isn't it? Because it's sort of, it's painting it as this sort of like trade-off. So you've got the awful thing will happen, but it doesn't matter right now because right now it's something that's making you feel good. Yeah, there's so many bits, man. Like what I was saying earlier about the guy with the saxophone. That always like, no matter how many times I see it, that always catches me off guard.
Oh, what's going on here? We've lost 2.
No matter how much you see what, Rob?
No matter how many times I see it, the guy with the saxophone always catches me off guard. Because that's just like that's just like pure Joel Schumacher fantasy, man. that's like, it's no surprise that this is the person he came up with the bat nipples.
That was one of the least surprising things. I saw that, I was just like, yep, it's the 80s. Cool. I was just like, it was acceptable. Anyway.
That song actually became like a bit of a cult hit off the back of this.
Oh, did it?
That one as well.
I mean,
Marilyn Manson did a cover of that.
Oh, cool. A lot of the music, I would say, I did like. There's a lot of music, I think, from the time I'm fine with. I think it was just movies like this. Yeah, the music was cool. Most of it, I thought.
I think the bit where there's like, no, it's not quite a montage, but like it's that sort of thing where they're sort of transitioning from one thing to another, while People Are Strangers playing. I really like that.
Oh yeah.
It's like, again, like it's a bit cheesy to be honest, but
Anyway, sorry. Wrong song about strangers. What's it? I thinking back about it, well, I found it weird at the time as well. It was never really explained, unlike an Interview with the Vampire. But why did they kidnap the kid only to like start turning it into a vampire? That was weird.
Wait, how do you mean?
The missing kid from the back of the milk carton. They had gave that kid blood at some point before we meet them. Same with the girl Star. But why did they want to turn the kids into a vampire?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I hadn't really thought about it. I guess it's like, I don't.
I suppose, is it like the fact that like Kiefer Sutherland and his cronies are kind of like literal teenagers, they kind of do it for their own amusement? Like the whole thing of indoctrinating, what's his name, into the field was something they would just do for fun, for the laughs of it all, and see how far they'd go. And then, oh right, this is part of it, I suppose. Maybe that's one interpretation, but I don't know.
I think there is an element of that to Kiefer Sutherland's character, because like that bit of the Chinese food where he's turning it into like maggots and worms or whatever.
That's like, just messing around.
It's literally just like he can do something, so he's going to do it to fuck with someone else. But I suppose the thing with the kid, though, I mean, I suppose you could say that there's something going on with the girl as well, because obviously she's not like she's not really part of the group. Like she's part of it because she's a vampire, but she's not really part of it mentally. Like she's quite a different character to the rest of them, and I think she has a lot more sort of like awareness of what's going on than they do, because they're basically like they're basically just like fucking around together, and there's not really much going on outside of them just like having fun and doing whatever. Whereas she seems to like have a conscience about everything. So I don't know if maybe like there's a part of it to say like almost to like give her something to look after, so that she stays as part of the group.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
Night.
Good night, Rachel.
Good night, Camilla.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Did you hear that?
Rachel
Yeah.
is the head
Oh, good night,
vampire.
Rachel, as well. Yeah.
Wait, what's that sound? Anyway,
Yes, I just said good night. Yeah.
sorry, I was confused because I couldn't see you. I have it on like large gallery mode. Anyway, yeah, that makes sense. Like with the girl, I wasn't surprised. I assumed she fell for the guy and ended up doing a whole bunch of nonsense and bad decisions, just like the other older kid guy team. And then, yeah, she ended up at a half vampire who hasn't made a first kill yet. And what you said makes sense. There's the messing around. There's the, oh, maybe if we do this, it'll pressure her to like do her first kill and make her even weaker. It's just like even more mess around. Let's throw this in there just to see what chaos comes out, kind of thing. And again, what's the boy who became a half vampire again? The older brother, his name?
Oh, Michael.
Michael. That's it. Like it's another kind of just a sign that's just like Michael is he is not like with he is missing so many red flags, of course. But the fact that there's just this random kid with him, that should be first like, what the crap is this kid doing here? This kid has no business being here with y'all. What's going on here? It's just like, wait, why is this? Because at first, when I saw her going around with this kid or like running with this kid, I was thinking, just imagine that. Why would this kid be at this random festival with all these people? Like, there's no other kids around. When you see no other kids in some more adult place, and it's just one random kid, okay, first warning flag. What the crap's going on? And then this kid with this biker gang. Wait, something ain't right. But he don't notice nothing. Just like I'm just like, man. See, it's one of these ones. Okay, cool.
I
But
suppose
yeah.
that's like that's one of the reasons why the whole setup of being in an unfamiliar place is so normal in Horror, because like things like that, if you're in an unfamiliar place and you don't know anyone and you're on your own and all of that kind of stuff, I suppose you would let things go a little bit more, because it's like, I don't know anyone here. I've like no idea what's normal around here, and I just want to like try and find a way to make my new life here bearable. So it's kind of that thing where like being isolated or like being lonely or whatever makes you do weird things and accept weird things.
Oh yeah, that's very normal. Again, I thought that, especially at the time, I mean, in that era was then, and probably even now, there's a lot of people that are those ages that would have done the same thing. And I don't think it's necessarily unrealistic. It's just very annoying to watch. And yeah, when I was younger, I would have thought the same thing as well. When I was younger, I wasn't as open-minded. Say, I was a bit too much like, but that doesn't make sense. Logically, why would you do that? So that, but no, you've got this, and like for the longest time, I didn't get peer pressure. I didn't understand let someone be peer pressure. It doesn't logically make sense. Like, why would I do something that's I sort of risk to my? No, I don't want to. I see. It took me a long time to get. Oh, that's why people might. Okay, still doesn't. Okay, I get it a bit more now. Kind of. Yeah, it's like you said. It's used. That kind of premise is used a lot because a lot of people would do that.
Mm. Yeah, I think like a lot of stories rely on it. To be fair, like it's like the unfamiliar setting makes people do strange things. Like,
And I would prefer
Stranger Things, if you will.
nice. And of course, it's like this is another valid way to make the film. But yeah, and of course, I prefer that regardless of the situation, and they're trying their best, and they're not like they're not doing a lot of dumb decisions. They still are at risk. Like even with their best intentions, like this crap is really happening to them. There's a lot of things out of their control, and that kind of takes the horror to another level, I think.
mm.
But it does make it a bit too real, I guess, which then makes it even better. But again, they're both valid ways to do horror. Again, I'm not cussing this film. I'm just imagining it in a very different way, like in a very serious take. And I'm just like, man, I'd like to watch that film.
That film is more or less Near Dark, to be fair, because like Near Dark is still a little bit silly, but it's a lot more like tonally. It's not quite as like the tone doesn't imply you should be having fun.
Would you say it's darker?
Near darker.
Oh, man.
It's the only weird
Alec
thing
would be
about it,
cringing right now.
though. The only weird thing about it though, is it's kind of a western as well.
Oh,
What? You know what? I think I've seen Near Dark. Is it the one that's like in like Arizona or something? Like, in the
Yeah, it's like it's in like one of those kind of like sort of gold rush states. And
yeah,
it's kind of like a romance film as well.
yeah. I think I do remember it. I remember it, and it's mainly in the it's set in a car, right? Or there's part of it told in the back of a vehicle, and then
Yeah,
going from place to place, like a road movie.
yeah, it's not really similar, but it's kind of like have you ever seen Blood Simple?
Maybe that might be another one that I think I might have seen, but not sure.
It's the I think it was the Coen brothers' first film, but it was basically like this low budget thing where it was like almost an anthology film where they were just like traveling around. But it's a similar thing to that. So yes, would have been the short.
Yes.
You
It's
know,
dark.
you said Stand By Me,
Mm.
or you referenced it earlier. When you picked this film, because I didn't look up anything about it. My wife did, but she was just like, "Yep, I'm not watching that film." I was just like, "Okay."
Mm.
I was like, "Is it too sad?" She's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay." I expected to see something similar to Stand By Me, like
Mm.
some depressing, sad. Well, Stand By Me. I'm not talking about Stand By Me specifically, but yeah, I was expecting some kind of deep, sad tell about these young boys' life and what they were going through and some messed up stuff and how they're trying to get through it. And maybe even one of them gets lost. Maybe they lose one of them and they have to keep moving on despite that or whatever. I expected something like that. And
Mm.
then this came up and I was just like, what's going on?
Weight of
I'm trying to,
expectation, man.
I'm trying to remember actually. I can't remember what happened before they're in the car. The moment in the two sons are in the car changing the radio. Because the subtitling was really bad on BBC iPlayer. What happened before that? Do you remember?
What, when they first moved into Santa Clara?
Yeah, but the scenes before, was there some scenes before? Yeah, the
Yeah.
scenes before them in the car.
Yeah, they're basically just like establishing Kiefer Sutherland's look. So
Yes,
like,
that's it.
so they're at like the fairground and stuff, and they attack the security guard, and
Mm,
they're being bastards basically.
yeah, I remember now. And did anyone watch this on BBC iPlayer?
No, I watched it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I saw it on our player.
I saw it
Did
on
you have
4K.
subtitles? Okay.
Mhm.
fair
No
enough.
subs.
Ben, did you have subtitles on?
No.
Okay. Well, BBC iPlayer subtitles for this suck. So in the beginning,
I'm not
when they're
surprised.
like, when Keith Sutherland's like gang are arguing with each other, they all they subtitle was shouting at each other or something like that. and then in this one, I was just like, okay, maybe they're like, because this is not audio description. They have a separate setting for audio description, by the way. This is actually just subtitles I switched on, not audio description. So I'm just like, okay, maybe it's just a bit off or whatever. I carry on. Again, they're really bulky, really black. Some of the text is green, some is blue, yellow, white. Like they're horrible subtitles. But whatever. Carrying on.
Weird.
And then when the mother and two sons are in the car, it said, instead of subtitling what they were saying, because you could hear them very clearly talking to each other, it said like arguing with each other instead of subtitling the words. It's just
Why
like,
would you bother, man? Like, it's just.
I was just like, who does this? Like whoever was meant to be checking this, it's obvious they just zipped through and did not care and had maybe 45 minutes to do the whole film. I don't know.
So bizarre.
I was like, anyway, I can't remember why I brought that up, but thankfully now I remember the start of the film. On a very random side note, I told this to my wife multiple times, I think, but almost every time over the few years I've seen Keith Sutherland, my mind for a moment confuses him with Anthony Michael Hall.
Really?
Yes, because at the time, because they're similar ages, but at the time, especially in the 90s, they had similar haircuts. They both have blonde hair. They have slightly similar looks, and their acting styles aren't that different either. And I used to watch him growing up in Anthony Michael Hall in The Dead Zone.
Ah.
So I saw a lot of his character, and I didn't see Keith Sutherland that much. Like the first time I properly saw him, I saw him in 24. And I was just like, what's the Dead Zone guy doing here? Especially. And I was like,
That's-
wait a second, this ain't him. He looks ever so slightly different. And then I was looking, wait, they aren't the same guy. And ever since then, every time I see Keith Sutherland, I'm just like, is it Keith or is it Anthony? And I forget their names. It makes them, I'm just like, and then I have to see their picture and be like, yeah, it's not him, but I get why I've confused him. If you
We-
don't know who I'm talking about, actually, I should send a picture.
We
Does
need to
anyone-
get. So good.
Oh, I was gonna say, does anyone know who I'm talking about? But what you gonna
Yeah.
say?
No, I know who you're talking about. I was going to say we need to get Donald Sutherland in Film Club to confuse things even more. So that you're going, hey, it's Anthony, it's Anthony Michael Hall's dad. No, it's Keith Sutherland's dad.
No, I actually might have seen him, but again, that just, yeah, like you said, that makes things even more confusing. It's just like, no, I don't need this. Yeah, let me send this picture. This
To be fair, I've got a couple of his films on my pick list, and they're both
Oh.
horrors.
ooh, it makes
Who
sense.
Donald Sutherland?
Yeah. at some point I'll pick Don't Look Now and Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh, I thought you were talking about this guy. I just sent his picture.
Oh
in the
no,
chat.
not Andy Michael.
If anyone did want to have a throwback and see what the series was like, it does have an 85% rating on Rotten Tomatoes audience score. It's basically a guy who wakes up from a coma after like many years, and he has the power to see the future when he touches people. He's trying to
Oh.
save people's lives and stop great tragedies from happening, and trying to investigate to see like how this is going to play out and see if he can actually stop this from happening.
That
Is-
sounds like a show my mum used to watch, but I think the one my mum used to watch was a bit more like is like that, but as if Daniel Steele wrote it.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, she does like all of these like Hallmark films, like I don't know, Meet Me by the Rose Bouquet and all that shit.
Fair
Mrs.
enough.
Bouquet.
Oh man. Yeah, it definitely wasn't a Hallmark type thing. It's a bit dark for that. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyway.
It's kind of mad actually that like we've gone 4 years of film club basically, and in all of that 4 years we only had one vampire film, but now we've got like 3 in 5 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, that
What
is
was the
that is odd.
what was the no. When did we what was the third one? I can't remember now.
This
This
so
is
the other two were Interview with a Vampire and Dracula.
yeah, there's not been a fourth yet.
Yeah, I forgot. Sorry, I forgot Dracula existed. I'm sorry. I
Just wipe
I-
that one out.
My mind, it obviously it did. I did not remember. But when did we see Let the Right One In? Or Let Me In?
That was like 3 years ago now, wasn't it? Or 2 years?
It was one of your early picks anyway.
Yeah, I think it was maybe like the first year or the second year.
Ooh, I can't remember how long ago it was. I didn't realize it was that long ago.
Yeah. Time is flying, man.
Good picks. Still thinking about what my next one's gonna be.
Oh, you should do Near Dark, and then we can have this conversation again.
Oh,
We'll see.
yeah, do the remake. Anyway.
Or you could do the comedy vampire films, like with the one with Eddie Murphy.
Oh, is that Vampire in the Bronx?
I thought you were gonna say something else there. Something.
Oh man. No.
I
don't
thought someone
think
was gonna go like, "Why didn't you pick Blackula?"
But if I did pick another vampire film, like I don't know if this exists. There's something I think similar that does exist. Um, I'll probably pick some like out there film that was talked about many years ago, but it was a vampire realistic film that happened in the Arab world or something. Like I would probably pick something like that. Just
You
like,
could
man,
pick
this is a
you
bit
could
too.
pick Salem's Lot. That kind of fits.
What is that?
It's a Stephen King adaptation, but the vampire in it's really weird because his teeth are like super creepy because they're not like normal vampire teeth. They're like really close together.
Interesting. Oh, that model actress lady. Sorry, ignore me. Anyway, sorry.
Do you know, actually, I think it's next year. There's a Nosferatu remake coming out.
The what
Oh,
remake?
Yeah,
Nosferatu.
Oh man,
that looks good. It's
Directed by
actually look
Robert
good.
Eggers as well.
good old Robert Eggers. Yeah. Is it Bill Skarsgård in there?
Probably known Robert Eggers.
And Anna Joy.
Oh, I'd imagine so.
And Willem Dafoe probably. There's the whole lot of them.
Oh man. Wait, what has the director done?
The Witch.
The Witch.
The Witch.
The Lighthouse.
The Lighthouse. The
Oh.
Lighthouse.
Oh,
Okay,
and the
maybe,
Northman,
maybe not the Lighthouse because y'all keep cussing it. But the Witch, I really liked that film. That was excellent. That was good.
The Lighthouse is good as well, to be fair, but it's become a bit of a meme just because of how often Pat's changed his scores. I think.
It's like a graph of like ups and downs. It's like the economy.
He kind of like started off going derivative bullshit, and then the next day he was like Hitchcocky and wonderful.
Masterpiece. And then it went down again.
And then
And
the
then it
third
went up
day he
again.
was like shit.
Oh man.
But hey,
Oh,
to
man.
be fair, I
Very
think,
impactful film.
Yeah.
how many times did you fall asleep watching it, Pat?
Quite a few.
But I think it was a victim of Pat's dreams filling in the blanks.
And me listening to John one of the few times.
That doesn't help. You're fond of me, lobster.
No, it's quite good to be fair, but I think you would get annoyed at it because there's a really annoying sound all the way through.
Ooh,
Yeah,
Why?
the story was
Well, what sound?
It's like a.
it's very avant-garde.
So a foghorn.
It's a
Yeah, I think it
foghorn.
is a foghorn actually.
Yeah, it must be to do with the ships, and because it's a lighthouse, you hear that as the whole design of it.
There's a lot of foghorns, there's a lot of seagulls, and there's a lot of flatulence, basically.
Yeah.
And a
That is
lot,
the word of a lie.
and typical Alec wanking scene.
Yeah, there's like 5 wanking scenes in it. Yeah.
I am curious actually about how Robert Eggers is going to put a fart in Nosferatu.
The children of the night, what music they make.
No. If anything, it's gonna be when he first comes out from the coffin. It's gonna be the big fight. Yes. Perfect. You're perfect. Absolutely perfect.
He'll do it. You know it.
Oh man.
Uh,
It's such a weird like signature to have. Like I remember going to see the Northman.
Oh yeah.
And like, there's a scene where somebody just like it does like it sounds like a goose honking. And like after he does it, I was just sat there like, why has he made this his signature? Like I can't think of many films with farts in, but there all is.
You know, when me and Pat saw it, we're like, "What the fuck was that?" It was just within the first scene as well. It's just that you just
Ben looked around at me and he could see me bursting.
Actually, yeah, I remember messaging you guys after I saw it and being like, Pat is gonna love this one scene.
well,
Oh, no.
I mean, you say it's a signature and you say it's weird, but isn't that like kind of the point of signatures? It's like this is what makes this sort of film the film I've made. This fucking fart noise, and if it's just like a thing that you've done, then you go, "Yep, everyone knows it's one of my films." And it's like, yeah, okay.
I just love the idea of us watching like a Beavis and Butthead film and being like, "Oh, this is Robert Eggers." Oh no, it's not. Oh.
I mean, it has to be like. I mean, what's the fart part of the story? I guess it's the difference, though. It's
Kind
like
of, to be
if you
fair.
watch it, like again, and
yes and no.
It was more part of the story in The Lighthouse, but it was kind of part of the story in The Northman.
yeah, but it's not like again. I'm going back to Eddie Murphy, right? It's not like The Nutty Professor where people just do fart jokes and just like yeah. And it's like oh okay.
In The Lighthouse, it was used as like a form of psychological torture. Like there's a scene where one of the characters just breaks down and he's like, "Goddamn farts!"
You guys Winslow.
I must have not watched The Lighthouse then.
Was that before Summer Droid?
Yeah,
that was,
it
like,
might
that
have
was the
been.
first year.
Oh,
That was during the American general elections, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was.
really?
That was
Well,
before even
I
Emmanuel.
feel like I've seen. I feel like I have seen parts of it. Is it where William Dafoe is like, I stabbed the heart into the sea or something, or something like that?
Yeah,
Yeah. I feel like I have seen it, or parts of it at least. So it might have been like a thing I've seen. I just don't.
It left an
remember it, I
imprint
guess.
on me, man, because it was just like. I think it's a good film, but I don't particularly ever want to watch it again because it's quite distressing.
I mean, there's lots of films that we've picked collectively that are kind of distressing that we will watch again. Emmanuel. Though I did promise him I will watch Antichrist. I don't know when I will get to that, but we'll get to it soon.
What didn't help with Antichrist is that when Emmanuel picked it, you could only rent it in SD, and so what's already like quite a dull and washed out film was even worse.
I forgot that. It's another reason why Pat hated it. No wonder. But no, none of us would.
If I got you,
Blu-ray.
if I got you a Blu-ray version of the Antichrist, would you watch it?
Do you know what? Actually, I was thinking about buying it the other day.
Okay, fair enough.
I was organised because I've organised all of these in alphabetical
What?
order. But I was thinking what might be cool is to organise like the top couple of rows in like the order of stuff that we picked.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you want to traumatize someone, I don't think you should buy it.
Oh man, I was really into the idea. The only thing that put me off was I was like, if I do this, I'm gonna have to buy the full, and I don't want that anywhere near my collection.
Well, that's the thing. If you want to be completist, you have to buy every bad movie that we've done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Literally,
I mean, like,
if the full wasn't picked, I'd have done it. I'd have even bought Tokyo Gore Police, but no, the fault of buying the full was too
buy
much for you. Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's a
I'll
cult.
say.
Honestly, that's a cult classic in some circles.
We should get a bootleg DVD of that.
Yeah,
You know,
but if it's
someone
like, who, what?
I was going to say there is
Say again, Manuel. You know someone who?
in the UK. There's I forgot their name. I get their emails, but I don't look at them. They're a prolific seller of out there Japanese movies.
Oh,
And I'm
I know
sure-
what you mean.
Yeah, and I'm sure they sell that Blu-ray DVD.
Yeah, I know the people you mean because they always send. I don't know how they got my email address to be honest, but they always send me like emails like, "Oh, we've got this in from Tartan Asia Extreme," and I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah.
this looks horrific, but okay."
Sorry, carry on, Simon.
No, I was just thinking like, I've been doing what Rob has been doing with like all the movies. I've like if it's on Amazon, I've just bought them, and like my collection of movies on Amazon is just odd. I don't know how to say. Someone obviously, well, everyone's gonna go, okay. I see what great films. Oh yeah, he's got Edge Tomorrow. Wait, what the fuck is Boa versus Python? And you just go click it and you go, what the fuck is this shit? Like, why did you buy this? I'll be like, it's a long story. And it's just like, so yeah, I feel like it's fun to have all these films in the collection. Yeah, long time ago, yeah. In a place called America, yes. But it's like if all these collections for these movies and all our movies that we've selected over these, or you guys have selected over the years, and I've selected for the last year-ish, if like all of them have been interesting films, I feel like there are certain films, especially with horrors, and what you might have on your shelf that you've mentioned, Rob, or other films that I don't like. There is you've got on your collection when you showed the picture on the messages. I'm just like thinking, what sort of films could we add to like the collective film club collection to make it like rounded out. I feel like there's certain like genres or like categories of films that we haven't completely covered at all.
Yeah,
And I feel like I gotta find. I feel like there's probably quite a few that we just haven't thought of.
There's
right
loads
now,
of them because
like-
it's amazing, really. Because
It really
we're nearly like 200 picks in, and we've still only had one Western.
Hmm.
But we've had at least one. But like, what is there genres we haven't picked that you can think of?
Well,
I have
mean, like,
a few westerns on my list.
well, I mean, like, there's like, it really depends on how you want to define a genre or like a theme of a movie, or it could be like, I'm not gonna pick the like, I'm not gonna pick the horny ski resort movie. I could, but I'm not going to. But like, it's like
That's
really,
just-
it could be really. It's like,
But that
What?
just sounds like a weird comedy, kind of like You Shoot, I Shoot.
Hmm.
So
yeah, but like that's what I'm saying. There's so many types. There's like so many types of films, and that's just comedy wise. Because there's horror films. There's like just let's say we'll stick with vampires for now. There's vampires. There's subversion to vampires. There's vampires. Just a little bit the Eddie Murphy comedy version of vampires, but then there's like, I mean, it's still vampires, but it's just a bit more comedic. But then after there's vampire satire movies, and it's like how I mean, like there's so many genres of film, or like how many subcategories of one particular genre. It's hard to say which films we've done, and you guys have done lots of. Okay, I would say lots of great movies. There's some movies that you guys have picked are questionable.
Like,
was it during bad movie round?
Well, not even. Well, I mean, like, there's that, but there's films that you guys have picked that are like, that are like
Like
all
what?
right, is this? I didn't want to mention it, but I was like, all right, yeah, the films that you guys think were good, but everyone realized, oh, it's definitely not good. Great Sherman. Anyway, it's just like things like that, you know.
speaking of which,
So,
like, while we're on the topic of vampires, you guys were lucky that I didn't pick lesbian vampire killers for bad movie round.
Oh, why not?
Oh
man?
man.
I remember going to the cinema to watch that, right? And at the time, I really liked it. I think it was around the time where I liked James Corden at the time. I even liked him up to recently, but he's been doing a lot of he's been saying a lot of like dodgy stuff. So I sort of got off him a bit, and I'm glad he's not on League of Their Own anymore.
Mhm.
But then I watched it again. I'd say about 2 or 3 years ago. I was during lockdown, and I was like, "What the actual fuck did I see in this?" It's so
Oh,
bad.
you actually liked it?
I liked it when it first came out, but
Oh,
it
wow.
came out in like what 10 plus years ago.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
back when like
Because
Gavin
yeah,
and Stacey was popular.
I think we were teenagers at the time.
Yeah.
And I think I was sort of talking to you very rarely on the internet, basically asking you what games I should buy because I was sort of out of the loop. And in around that time, I went to cinema to watch this, and I thought it was great at the time. I really did.
Hmm.
But it's such terrible nonsense. I it's like I can't put this on there. I
Oh,
really
man.
can't.
Thank you very much.
So I was
Appreciate
like,
that.
off the list it goes.
Yeah, never to return.
This is when Ben picks it as a troll.
Well, now that you've mentioned it,
Or
And then I
Silence.
oh
don't-
yeah, yeah,
I
okay, yeah,
haven't, I
I was gonna
haven't
say,
seen it. Don't worry.
Oh dear.
I mean, you don't have to have seen it, but
Well,
Just
yeah,
pretend
I
I
won't
never
pull in the
said it.
menu and pick it without seeing it and wasting film.
I did it. I picked a film without seeing it once, and only me and Emmanuel liked it.
oh yeah, that was a great film. I'm so
I watched
glad
it
you
again the
picked
other
that.
week.
Did you?
Yeah,
Oh.
still as great as it was the first time I watched
did
it.
you dance along?
I was doing a jig in my seat.
Okay, okay.
I really want to see that go on Blu-ray or 4K.
Yeah, I'm surprised it still
Well,
hasn't.
I mean, can you not get it on like?
Nah, because
on the disc because it's
in well, yeah, it's because it's come from like the Indian movie sort of people. Their physical media's basically died during COVID.
It's mad though, isn't it? Because you'd think like an international distributor would have picked it up by now.
It may happen at some point, but I think whilst Netflix hold the rights for UK and America viewing rights, like there's only like a handful of things they release on disc at the minute. I'm still waiting for them to release Stranger Things.
Oh yeah, I heard
Stranger
that they were
Things was
going
the
to do it
worst.
on like DVD.
That was the worst because they released it on VHS.
Yeah. Well, no, that was actually a DVD.
Oh, that's
The VHS was the box.
Oh, I thought it was actual VHS.
Nah, it was actually a cool design for it. But it was only released in America as it's a DVD in a VHS looking box.
Oh, right.
It was pretty cool, but
okay, that's fair enough. Actually, that actually sounds actually kind of cool then.
yeah.
But
HMV did a couple
because
of
Netflix
those
has
with, some old films like Back to the Future.
Oh, they did. Oh,
Yeah.
They did. HMV did what?
They released a couple of like 80s films. They on like Blu-ray, but in a VHS packaging.
I was going to add to that. I was going to say
yes.
it's not too surprising since with India, because even now Disney have stopped selling physical media, or about to at least, in like Australia and certain markets. In the certain places they've already stopped. I'm not sure if the Philippines was one of them. Like the physical sales just went so low. They were just like, yeah, we're not going to bother shipping any more physical Blu-rays and stuff to certain countries.
Which is a sad thing, you know, because like sometimes having a box set is actually quite a nice looking piece of merchandise instead of just, you know, just merchandise, you know. Well, you know, I don't need like the 100th version of like Mickey as a plush doll. I've got like I've seen if you've seen like one Mickey plush doll, you've seen them all. It's like I need to see all the like some things.
It's a few things for me because like part of it is I get so much satisfaction just by like looking around and like looking at my collection and just like going through it and thinking about everything that's in there. Like it's just a nice experience sometimes, but also like there's some preservation to it because some of the like Criterion stuff and like the Arrow stuff that I've got, like there's special features on them that if physical media didn't exist, like they would be lost forever. Like there wouldn't be any way to get them because nobody would be like pirating them and things like that. Like it's literally just that they're on the disc and that's the only way you've got them.
Yeah.
So it's quite sad. Especially commentary tracks. You can't like someone, I don't know if it's legal or not, but somebody started uploading some to Spotify. But generally speaking, you can't really find the commentary tracks outside the discs.
Yes.
Yeah, it is sad. Sorry, he's going to say something, Simon.
No, I'm just thinking that's probably one of the big things I used to do with, again, having when you have proper DVDs and stuff, is listening to either cast commentary or like director's commentary, because it's just like certain things that you have the actors or the crew members just like do, they just talk about the movie and like have like little like hidden tidbits in the little thing about like inside jokes about this movie and stuff. It's like, yeah, it's kind of nice. I think that's probably one of the big pluses for having physical media, because I don't think you can, there's no like director's commentary version of a film if I was to watch it on like Disney or like on Amazon. I don't think there.
I think
don't
Disney
think
have started uploading them, to be fair, but like it's quite rare still. But like
Yeah,
even if you like So, for example, like the Harakiri disc I've got, because obviously we had to use alternative means to watch that together. Like, literally,
No. We just watched it by sending it each other the same DVD, didn't we, Rob?
yeah. That's exactly
Yeah.
it. Yeah. We did send it in a way, to be fair. But that's the thing, like, I mean, if you look for Harakiri, like, the only thing you will ever find is the film and the subtitles, right? Whereas on this disc, you've got, like, you've got so many different things. Like, there's, like, original documentaries, like, there's like different like subtitle translations from like different points in history. So like if you're into that kind of thing, you can go and like compare sort of like the different nuances that come with like different translations and all that kind of thing. There's a making of feature. There's like a 28-page booklet in here with like a bunch of essays in. There's a Directors Guild of Japan interview. Like there's so many things on here that like you can't get anywhere else. So it's really shit that it's like phasing out.
Mm.
Yeah,
it's
been
a shame.
happening for. Oh, sorry, just quite a while. Carry on, Ben.
I was only going to mention what Rob told me about, and what we were talking about for ages, and we hope would happen, is like the whole thing about the whole director's commentaries and video and DVD special features. Oh, someone should make a podcast about that. Just rip them off the DVDs and make an audio version of that and put it online. And someone has done that. And there was a really good podcast series on Spotify, which is basically just the director's commentaries of these classic films. And I think that's a good way of keeping that alive. Even if it isn't provided by like Disney Plus or any of the other main streamers anymore, it's good that there are some people doing it out there. It's a shame it's not done officially, but it's something.
Yeah, definitely, man. Like that's the ideal. Well, not the ideal, but like it's if you're not gonna have like physical media forever, then that's a good kind of backup.
Yeah.
But it's such a shame when you think about it, because like on my well, actually, you've got them as well. But on the Evil Dead trilogy discs, like there's a really cool commentary by Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell, and you just think like, I don't know, just sitting and listening to that, like there's so many things that I learned about it, and also like the effort that's gone into making it. Like for that all to be lost is really sad.
Yeah, it's worth keeping alive. I mean, I get why some people won't have the time, because it's kind of like with me, if I wanted to watch a film again, I just rewatch the film. I won't watch a film with the commentary. That's why I readily do that. But I would, if I was on my commute to work or something, or going somewhere, I'd want to listen to something, a documentary about people talking about a movie, and with the creators, the director, the writer, whoever. I think that's a really great idea to kind of like you reuse that into that and the new format, because not everyone has the time to just pop on a DVD or even just stream something, and so it's essential that it's not lost. So it's a good idea to just do it that way.
Yeah, that's a nice idea. But then afterwards, but the way that you said it, it sounded like, you know how you have movies about people who make the movie. You know, it's kind of like if you have, let's say, Jurassic Park, but you're gonna have a movie about the people who made Jurassic Park. It's like, what do you mean? As in like the actual park? No. The film Jurassic Park. I'm gonna call it Jurassic Park's Park. And it's just like, okay. I feel like it's just gonna spiral a bit too much, because there's as much as I agree with you, I feel like just watching the movie, and if you wanted to rewatch the movie, you just rewatch the movie, because like certain people I know that they have that big fucking Lord of the Rings collection and has all those like multiple like director's commentary, cast commentary, and all that shit. And I'm like, if you're really into that, and I know like I feel like Rob is probably, but it's like people who really want that, they can have that. It's just that not everything. It's not as easy as it's. I feel like what Rob said before about, or what you guys said before about having a podcast, or just them like just talking about their experiences of like the film would be quite interesting, because like if you had during that time, like for this film, if we had like who is the person? Keith Sutherland's like, if we had all those people just like as them as young guys, just talk about how they felt about filming this film. Be like, yeah, it was so gross. I could just imagine them go, yeah, it was kind of gross just to look at like the bugs in the takeaway box. I just can't. I just like you just me throwing them on the floor. I was just so worried that they'll get everywhere. Yeah, it's gross. Yeah. I just could just imagine it. So I guess that's. I mean, that's a problem for people in the film industry in the future, I guess.
I do like there are some people who are trying to keep things going. Like I mean, like with like when Christopher Nolan films get released on Blu-ray recently, like they tend to come with like a cell from the 70mm reels. I think that kind of thing's really cool because it's like it means people who wouldn't usually buy that kind of thing have a reason to buy it. And then if they buy it, then maybe there's a chance that they'll sort of look at it and go, actually, you get a lot with this that you don't get with streaming. So
Yeah, you actually get to own it and not have to worry about it being taken down.
Yeah, own a local copy. Like in case they're like, you know what, we have no space to store this in our servers, X, Y, and Z. It's been the talks of like the loss of physical media slowly but surely it's becoming more of it. I don't think it'll ever go away, but eventually it'll be more of a niche product. Sorry, not niche. It'll be more of a niche thing, but more of a collector's kind of thing.
yeah,
It'll in every once in a while you'll have a resurgence of them, kind of like vinyls and stuff. So vinyls have a very particular type of obviously tactile feel to them and other kind of stuff. It is unfortunate because it's happened to PC games. It's happening slowly to video games, but video games still give the option, but they push a lot for the digital. I mean, having digital only consoles, growing up, I didn't even consider that. Like, why would I want that? I mean, mine is technically digitally only because the disk drive doesn't work, but it's also at the end of its life cycle, honestly, and I really need to upgrade at some point, but it's still going to be many years. But point is, like, I haven't been able to play a Blu-ray for many years. I don't have my PS5 Pro anymore, which was the one that could do it, like properly. The Xbox, it never really reliably worked, even though it technically should be able to. But mine might have been faulty and dying at the time. Anyway, yeah, it's such a shame because it's all based off of people with their wallets, really. And obviously streaming and renting online has become so prolific. It's just unfortunately the way it's gonna keep going until it just becomes some of the biggest companies or some smaller films have done like a few limited runs for this collectors. I mean, hopefully you get more people who do what you have sometimes on Apple TV, where if you buy the film, you will get for not all films, but with some films, you'll get a lot of the special features behind the scenes. I mean, it's not often that you will get. It's quite rare that you'll get like director's commentary. but you'll get like Apple TV try and put the effort in to include at least some of the DVD stuff if you buy the film on Apple TV. And
Yeah, they're quite good
some,
with that actually.
yeah, and some digital places
So-
make that kind of effort, but and some like even like special like comic book stuff, movies and whatnot, they'll have a link where you can get special features and whatnot, like Warner Brothers website or this or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a shame about like owning your own copy and then kind of taking away that, but at the same time, and this happens a lot in the gaming industry, as sure Pat knows, where they want to like stop supporting the game in terms of like servers, which makes sense at the end of the day. You're spending money in a game that barely anyone plays and you're not making any money from it. Fair enough. But open source it. Give people the code. You can't do anything with it. You're not selling it. You're not doing anything with it. You're basically throwing it in the trash. Just give people the code so that the fans can maintain it themselves. And so many companies don't like doing that. They refuse to. And the few that
Emmanuel,
do are celebrated.
I mean, as much as I would love to agree with what your point was, I couldn't agree with you because simply your concept happened to Pokemon, and everyone fucking fucks with everyone who is anyone who does like modding and stuff, mods Pokemon all the goddamn time. So it's kind of like, do you know how many versions of Pokemon Red there are, and like weird versions of Pokemon Reds there are? So it's like the code's been all like sourced, right? And it's like Nintendo could do only one thing. It's like, all right, stop making these Pokemon games, or we'll have to sue you, essentially.
Nintendo are bad for that.
Yeah, but like they've calmed down a bit because some of them are just like, you can tell they're not really they don't use the Pokemon like brand name. They just call it like Fusionmons or some shit. Yeah, and they're like, we'll let you like off of that because it's like it's different enough. But like, there's so many Pokemon games that are not Pokemon. It's just like, as much as I would love to agree with you saying just open source everything, the companies would be like, let's not do that because people love taking the piss, and it's just like,
But to me, that's great. That's like on the level of the Thomas the Tank Engine mod for Skyrim. And for stuff, it's just like replace all dragons with Thomas the Tank
oh
Engine.
right, did you say
like?
Yeah, okay, that's fucking hilarious though.
Yeah, and they've even done it in Starfield already with certain stuff. It's the same person.
Wait. Can you fly in a Thomas the Tank Engine
Yes.
spaceship?
Yes. It is hilarious. But that's the thing. It opens up that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, yeah, I get what you mean. It's not exactly the best in some cases. People take the piss. But it's a fun part of the community. And
okay.
I love to see it. And it kind of helps those games live on longer than they might have. So instead of them like disappearing into obscurity or into collectors kind of thingies or into places where it's really hard for them to work, and then you have people trying to illegally bring it back or mod it in a way and then risk legal action. Like having that available, it's just like it gives people the option. And at the end of the day, if the community eventually are like, yeah, we don't care about this anymore, that was their choice. But to take that choice away from them, just like with this kind of physical media, like at least instead of going like, let's say for Disney, instead of taking the option to even order it in the country, or like have them available to buy in the country, just do a thing where, like, I don't know, through Disney Plus or whatever kind of store, go like, oh, you like this movie? You can buy it and have it shipped to you. Or you want a special collector's edition? We do that as well. That would make them money, and it takes it takes very little money, and effort for them to actually make a Blu-ray. It doesn't actually cost that much. It's more about the whole logistics around getting it into stores and the marketing and all sorts of other stuff around it, which cost a lot of money, but actually making the Blu-ray doesn't. So if they just did that on the Disney Plus or whatever kind of store, the people who really want it, they would get it and they would get it shipped. It's just like, at least you're giving people the option. But to take it away, I'm just ranting at this point. Just takes the piss.
Yeah, you're right, man.
Keep ranting. I agree.
I don't know if and when Alec listens back to this call, he'll be like, "You fuckers have been talking about physical media versus traditional and like digital media for the last fucking half hour. When the fuck are you going to talk about the Lost Boys again?" I feel like
He's gonna have an aneurysm.
Yeah. Love you, Alec. Really. Don't worry.
I don't.
Oh.
So mean.
He expects it from me.
That, okay, yes. But
I mean,
yes,
I've got favourite scenes then to...
yeah, we should probably change it back to favourite scenes again.
There you go, Alec. I'm showing you some love without saying it.
I know I've said it a few times already, but that last line is just the best, man. I think the reason why it's so good is because it is like, so you know, like that typical sort of Simpsons humor where it's like a joke will start at the start of the episode, and then something just like so it doesn't even really have to like tie in that well, but like something just like stupid will get said, and because it's so stupid, it's just really funny. It's like you know that scene where Homer answers a phone and he's got a towel around his waist. He says, "You'll have to speak up, I'm wearing a towel." It's that kind of thing. But I think it's so good in this because it starts off when they're moving to Santa Clara, and on the back of the you know, you've got that like "Welcome to sunny Santa Clara" or whatever it is, like the road sign, and then on the back of it says something like "Murderville, USA" or something like that.
Yeah.
And then they get to the house, and one of the kids is like, "Is this actually like the murder capital of the USA?" And then the grandpa says something like, "If all the corpses that were buried here got up and started roaming the earth again, we'd have no space for anyone else," or something like that. So it's like it's such like a flippant, just sort of like, yeah, whatever kind of line. But then at the end, where he's like, "Oh, the problem we're living here is the damn vampires," and it's just like, what the fuck, man? You knew all along, and you didn't think to mention it. It's just like, it's such a perfect line.
See, that reminded me of like Doc Brown in a way.
It's a very like.
Well, I mean, like all the scenes of the grandpa is kind of like hilarious anyway, because I don't think I think he knew about vampires, but I think he's got like some sort of like dementia, so he probably forgot about it, right? Because like there's like scenes with him that he's like, "You know what you're supposed to do when you take someone's car out a ride and you just bring it back?" "No, Grandpa, I don't." "Okay, you're supposed to fill it up with gas. Now you know." And I'm like, okay, that was just like such. Of course, it's like most of the scenes with him, how it makes sense because he's just so old and forgetful. He's just like one of those characters you don't really think to take seriously, because the first time you see him, he's pretending to be dead. It's like, I think he's dead. No, he's just pretending to be dead. Are you sure he's not dead? I think he's dead. No, I'm pretending to be dead, and I'm doing a pretty goddamn good job of it. It was like, yeah, it's just one of those. Yeah, it's the style of the comedy. I agree with you, Rob. It's like the style of the comedy is a bit. It's just like a bit I don't know what's the right phrase, but it's just like it's just there. It's just like, oh, all right, Grandpa, if you say so. Like it's like, oh yeah, it's just like the old man comedy. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. It's just
So-
like it's such like it's similar to the thing where like the ongoing joke with Homer through like the whole of The Simpsons is that he's privy to more than he lets on because he doesn't realise how important what he knows is. It's like it's just that like I don't know. It's just that moment of realization where you go like, "What the fuck, man? Like, why did you not think that was worth sharing?" And I just love it because you've got this whole film where like they're trying to investigate what's going on and like they think they're going crazy and there's just all of these like moving parts to it all. And I just love it. I think it's so funny that while all of that's going on, the grandfather's just sitting there like, man, it's so inconvenient that we live among vampires.
But yeah, that is his character. He's the
Yeah.
character that goes, you vampires, get off my yard. And it's just like, it's like but it suits the sort of like comedy, the comedy stylings of that particular time period because there's there is the weird rock music and like punk rock aesthetics of all the characters, the old man that shouts at those people who are in that aesthetic, and it kind of blends in quite nicely, and so it feels like it's very natural for this movie. So I think because it feels kind of natural for the movie when he eventually does kill Max by running the truck with the stake into him, it's like, did not think it would be Grandpa who was going to kill him. But like, yeah, it's Grandpa who's going to kill him. Yeah, of course, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
I do love that final sequence. Actually, I think the practical effects on that are like they are dated, but I think they have like a really like cool quality to them where it's like it's that old thing where people say that practical effects look fake but they feel real, whereas CGI looks real but it feels fake. Like it's that kind of thing where it's like it's quite obvious that this is just like a bunch of plasticine stuck to someone's face, but it does feel like it's their face.
Yeah, that's very true.
I think like Max is such a good choice for to be like the big villain because he's kind of like suspecting but unsuspecting because he's such a loser.
Mhm.
It's weird for me when looking at it like again because they made such a big thing about him not being the like vampire tropes that they goes no, I like garlic. It's just like so much of it and it's raw and it's just like why did it felt like they did too much to make him feel not the vampire. So it's kind of like
I do think though that bit, I don't know if they did it on purpose, but if they did do it on purpose, I think it's quite clever because like where he like takes what he refers to as parmesan and then starts spreading it over his food. Like if that was actually chopped garlic and not parmesan, you would know about it. So I like the idea that he deliberately takes it and he knows what's going on and he's like, I'm gonna eat this fucking garlic, you little shit.
but it's just I mean I guess does he know about what do they call them, the Frog Brothers already? So I guess like what are these two little fucking shits gonna do to me really? So I sort of I guess
think I think I don't know. I just feel like if I was like a head vampire and there was like some kids acting suspiciously and they served me a bowl of garlic telling me it's parmesan, I think in the back of my mind I'd be going, nah, fuck you, I'm gonna eat this. And then I'm gonna tell you that I love garlic, you twat.
I found it interesting that his reflection was completely fine. So I
Oh,
don't know.
that scene's so good when they turn the lights off, and then when they, that's another thing. It's such like Simpsons humor when the lights come back on, and he's like, ah.
Yeah, I was just like, yeah, he must not be a vampire. It's just like, wait, does it only work when it's like someone who's half vampire? To be honest, I wasn't obviously thinking about actual any rules at all in this type of film. It's not that type of film.
It's quite like a campy thing, but like I think it's just that whole thing where he's like the head vampire, and being invited in gives him a certain amount of control over what affects him and what doesn't. But like it's not the most thought out explanation for it, but because it's a film that doesn't take itself seriously, it's like whatever.
Yeah. It's like,
So how about you, Ben? What's your favorite scene?
You know what? I think it's probably the scene where I've forgotten their names, but when he's indoctrinated into the vampire fold, and they're eating all the Chinese takeaway, and he's being kind of like led astray by Kiefer Sutherland's character with like the rice is actually maggots and the noodles are actually worms, etc. And I thought that was really clever, like mind games of how much of a hold he has on him, and it's just like how they play him for laughs and just have just a little bit of teenage fun with to his expense. It's like, oh yeah, it's fine. It's just rice, as it was all along. But I made you think it was something else. It's really clever.
It's quite a nice lead into him drinking the blood, actually.
And on that, before the scene with the younger brother, what was his name, where he gets like what is it, the gopher, stuffed gopher present from his uncle, and it's kind of like, well, this is not scary. You'd be terrified about that more than the actual closet being open. So it's like that scene I did find quite funny, but it was just a good moment of like the family being a family, you know.
Yeah.
And just him kind of like just being, just getting used to just living in a new place he hasn't, and a new way of life.
There is something about like the setup, I think, because it's like it sounds like a little bit lame, I suppose, but whenever a horror film starts with like a car going down a road or something like that, I'm always like, yeah, man, I'm in for a good time. This sort of, because this Evil Dead, The Shining, like all of my favourite horrors start with some kind of travel.
Wait, what was your score for Get Out?
Like 9.4, I think, something like that.
Oh yeah, so that still stands. Yeah, still
Yeah.
traveling, going out to go. Yeah, wait, what was your score? Yeah, it was quite high. Yeah, so yeah, it's fine. Right, Patrick, what was your favorite scene?
I've been holding on to this since my first portion we watched through. It's the bridge scene.
Really?
I absolutely fucking loved it.
Yeah.
I think that's what sort of, I was sort of enjoying it before then, but I think the bridge scene sort of really won me over.
Yeah.
And just seeing like all of them sort of hanging out at the bottom of the bridge, and Kiefer Sutherland is sort of bouncing on it. If sort of he was like telling Michael to just fall, but it was almost like he was trying to make him lose grip by the fact that he was bouncing off the bottom of it. I just loved it. I just loved the whole setup for that scene. It was by far my favourite scene.
That's another little parallel with Stand By Me, actually, because
Yeah,
In
I
Stand
was
By
gonna
Me, the
say.
young kids fall off the bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got like this film's got so much similarities to Stand By Me and Back to the Future.
It's kind of like, you know how I picked Stand By Me as like an antidote to The Shining? Like,
Yeah.
this is kind of an antidote to Stand By Me. So it's like, Stand By Me will make you feel sad, and then The Lost Boys can give you a little bit of silliness before you go to bed and
Yeah.
dwell on it.
Probably another scene that I liked is when they all went into the vampire lair
Mm.
and they're like, right, oh shit, they're up there. How are we going to do this?
Yeah.
And then it's like, sorry, and stuck him with the stake.
Speaking of that scene, we've now got recurring characters. We've now got recurring I can't say it. We've now got recurring actors for both Bill and Ted.
Have we?
Yeah, what's
Yeah.
we have them both.
Yeah.
With me.
So Keanu Reeves, obviously, and is it Alex Winter?
Is that him as the kid?
Yeah, Alex Winter's the first one who gets killed. The first vampire who gets staked.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got to
Didn't
double
even.
check. Yeah, did not even like recognize him. But then again, everyone when talking about Bill and Ted, everyone recognized Keanu Reeves, so it's like
Yeah.
a sad part of that.
Yeah, that is kind of mad, actually. Like, because he doesn't even. I'm not sure he has any lines actually. Maybe like 1 or 2 words, but
Yeah.
Do we see him at the beginning part with the fucking like merry-go-round?
yeah, he's the first one who appears on the merry-go-round, I think.
Fuck! Just to make up for it, I can't picture it anymore. I gotta I guess have a quick skim through the movie again. Fuck. Wait a second, let's have a look at it. Well, waiting. Emmanuel, what was your favourite scene?
Sorry, still trying to think. Probably when. Yes, probably this one. When the grandpa runs through his own house with his truck. I don't know how he knew. Maybe he heard a lot of stuff going on. It was just like, you know what? Yeah, I'm backing up this truck. I am ramming into this. I mean, many things could have gone wrong, but it was a great entrance.
Given like what his personality is, I imagine he was just like driving home from his date. He saw like some flashing lights through the windows, and he thought, "It's those fucking vampires again." And then he was just like,
Yeah.
"Fuck this! I'm going through the wall."
Exactly. It's just like all right, you wouldn't usually think this, but yeah.
Oh, his name is Alex Winter.
Yeah, Alex Winter. Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
I can only think of this and Bill and Ted for what he's done, though. I can't think of him in anything else.
Yeah, fair enough. I can't think of anything else either. He's done a lot of producing. He's produced a lot of films and got a lot of films made, but acted not since the Bill and Ted trilogy.
Oh yeah, it is a trilogy now.
Yeah.
I deliberately forgot about the new one.
Oh man, maybe that's saying something.
Yeah, his filmography is like, yeah, it's mad.
I guess he doesn't. Yeah, I guess he doesn't like. star in a lot of films, but maybe just a lot of like producing stuff, I guess, because he's not. One of the latest things he's done is called the YouTube effect. I don't know what that is, but like it doesn't sound that catchy to me.
Yeah, that documentary does sound good actually. I've heard about that. He kind of like describes about the generation we're in now being kind of desensitized by TikTok and all sorts of social media like YouTube and stuff like that. And he just kind of like breaks it down and analyzes it and explains the differences of how it is now to then and stuff.
Okay, but
It's kind of weird looking at his filmography actually, because like when you consider he was one half of Bill and Ted, everything that he's done since is just like all of like the roles that he's got are like assistant and cabbie and like just things that like are very small parts.
I mean, like even for this film, he's called Marco, and I guess Marco was one of the vampires. If you told me to pick Marco up from like a lineup, I couldn't tell you which one was Marco.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's the way with certain films. I guess when it's just sometimes just don't know, I just don't remember.
Mm-hmm. What's your favourite scene, Matt?
Well, I said everything with like Grandpa. All the scenes with Grandpa are just generally just hilarious because the old man is just old man funny, and like everything else is like, I don't know. I guess the first scene where you see Max and like the mother character like first come in, and it's like you see them and you're like, hey, I told you guys not to come around here anymore. And it's just like, was he doing that because it's like a dad reprimanding the kids? But it's kind of like, is he doing it because it's like, I don't know, it just felt like it was interesting to see it, knowing that he was obviously the head vampire. And it's like, is he just like, you little shits, what are you doing around here again? I told you, don't come around here because I'm trying to get a mum for you. Which was actually his actual goal, but it's like, I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. It felt, but most of the scenes with the granddad is probably the funniest scenes and the most like memorable favorite scenes.
I think that Simpsons writer who I was trying to remember the name of earlier, I think it's Mike Reese.
Reese?
I think so. Yeah, he wrote a lot of episodes with Al Jean. But if it is him that I'm thinking of, though, like yeah, because the grandpa's humor is similar to that old kind of like, just like it's almost like 1920s kind of stuff, where it's like the joke's kind of like you're kind of told what the joke is, like you don't really have to like. You don't have to like work it out. It's just like, this is the joke. Do with it what you will, kind of thing. Which The Simpsons is really good at because it manages to do that without ever like. It doesn't go into like the Family Guy style where it's just sort of. It's based on things like shock value. It's just based on like, this doesn't quite make sense, but because of this character doing something this way, that's what's funny about it. And that's just like that's what the grandpa is.
Okay.
Just expecting like an umbrella to come and like yank Simon out of shot.
For Looney Tunes.
Sorry, say again.
I said I was just expecting an umbrella to come and like yank you out of shop.
No, I just I don't think it's umbrella. I think it's called the shepherd's crook. But
I suppose it would be actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, it's just perhaps it's nephews are around, kids. So I mean, like, I don't know if you can hear it, but like occasionally you might hear someone playing the fucking recorder terribly. So that's my nephew.
I think your noise cancellation is quite good, to be fair.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
All right, but I think they still might need me to do stuff. So in any case, any final thoughts?
Good going.
It's good.
It's good. It's good. It's I still, as I said to you before, Rob, it's like not my favoriteest comedy. Oh well, not really comedy, but like sort of like horror movie, but not quite horror movie-ish. It's like baby's first horror movie, I guess, if you could describe it that way. And it's like it's not too.
It's a gateway film.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. It's pretty decent. And I think on that note, especially if we're going to Halloween films, it's Ben's choice next, right?
The
So Ben-
official Halloween pick of 2023.
Yeah, this year is going to be a film that's been something in contention, like Rob has with Lost Boys since the year one. It is a Steven Spielberg production, but it's not a Steven Spielberg movie. But
Allegedly.
it might be. It might not be. But it is Poltergeist. It came out 31 years ago this month,
13 years.
and it is streaming on the usual platforms: Amazon Prime and Alex's favorite, Apple TV.
That also means that we've now reached a milestone, and we've completed the Close Encounters trilogy.
Mm-hmm. And that will be an interesting thing to talk about next week, because
Is it the 1982 one, right?
it's the
Yeah.
1982 version. Yes.
The one that's allegedly directed by Tobe Hooper.
Yeah, the director of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
But written by Steven Spielberg, as it
Yes.
says on the wiki.
Yeah, it's
The
really
film that
interesting
keeps
actually, because
getting
there's like loads of like really well thought out theories that Steven Spielberg directed it in secret.
Yeah, and neither of them will confirm or deny it to this day.
Yeah,
But why would it need to be secret? Is it like, did he have to?
contracts. Yeah, because I think he was contracted to, was it Paramount at the time, and this was a Warner Brothers film.
Yeah, he was making.
Ooh.
He was making something else at the same time, and he couldn't really promote this. And Tobe Hooper needed like a leg up and kind of like a favor from Spielberg, so they kind of had this like unsaid kind of like mutual agreement. Where I was like, yeah, if you pretend that I made this movie, you can do what you like, kind of thing. That's what everyone assumed happened. But yeah, we'll talk about it next week.
Interesting.
I think when you watch it, you will be going, yeah, this is a Steven Spielberg film.
Yeah, the director of Chainsaw Massacre did this. What?
I'm always tempted to put the director as Steven Spielberg on the spreadsheet.
Oh man.
On that note, I think I will have to leave for now. See what they need.
Yeah,
All right.
same.
Yeah, I'm going to have to shoot off as well. Sweet. See you in a bit, guys.
See you next
All right.
week.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.